Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do the CRUD operations. C stands for create. What are we going to create? We're going to create or to save or to register the data into the database. And R stands for read. Reading what? Yes, we're going to read the information that we have recreated into the database. We can either read, consult, or searching. So that's the meaning of R. And the U stands for update. What are we going to update? Well, we can only update the informations that we have already created, which are already inside the database. We might find that there was a misspelled, maybe misspelling I wanted to say, maybe we've misspelled something, and they would like to correct the way we have spelled that information into the database. So we can make use of the updating methods for us to be able to modify or to try to do some adjustments on the informations that we have already created. And finally, we can delete. Delete what? One more time. Delete the data or the informations that we have already created. So CRUD operation, it's very important because it helps us to create, read, update, and then delete the data that we have already inserted into our database. So let me explain to you how it's going to work. The first thing to do, just going to close this window. Then I go to my computer, I go to this PC here. I'll first of all create a folder in which I'll be saving all the packages that will help me to implement this system then. So I'll come here, I'm going to create a new folder which I'll call CRUD, right? Me double click on it, and then I'm gonna create another sub folder, so to speak. Then I'll name it all right, DB, which stands for database. So once I create a database, I'm going to save that database into this folder here, and then the packages that come with uh, all the packages that come for me to implement this CRUD system, this CRUD information, I'll save them inside here. So the folders have been created, which is good. I'm just going to click here. So let me open my Visual Studio 2017 version. So I come to create new project. All right, Visual C Sharp it's selected. This is the one I'm going to work on. So there are many platforms here that we can use. Sorry, there are many platforms here that we can use to create our project. But as for the purpose of this video, I'm making Windows Form application. All right, so this choice here is the one I'm going to work on. Let me rename the way this project it is called. So I'm just going to call it CRUD. Then let me specify the location. I'm just going to browse. Remember, I created already a folder in my computer. I'm just going to use that folder that I just created. I go to the local disk C, so it was under projects. Then I come, all right, this is the one CRUD. All right, so it is selected, that is good. Let me select the folder and then I come all the way, click on OK. So I was going to create my project. It's going to give me a blank form which I have to work on. All right, by default, this form will be called form 1, but like this, it does not make sense. Let me rename this form. I click on it and then I select property. All right. Let me try to explain. All right, because all the properties, they were hidden behind there. So let me change the text. I'm going to call it CRUD. because it's a CRUD operation. Sorry, it's not correct. Okay, I'm going to come to file and then save everything that all the modification that I made in order for me not to lose anything. And then let me change the name of this form because by default it will be called form 1. There it is. Let me try to explain here because I can't see well. Alright, so I'm just going to call it FM. Alright, so this form will help me to create the item. Actually, I shouldn't name it CRUD. So I'm going to make use of a label. Click here. Let me just quickly paste here. Is text. Do we change this label? I'll call it items. I think it's fine. Sorry. All right. Let me try to change the font of this label. I like Arial. This is what I like. Okay, narrow. Let me give it 12 volts. All right. I'm going to save code. So for this project, I need 3 labels and 3 text box and 1 combo box. Let me go for the labels. Labels. Place it here. So I can just copy and paste. Okay. And 3 text box. Okay. All right. Place one here. Let me try to give him some size. So I need 3 of them. Just gonna copy and paste. Okay. Do it like this. And I need 1 combo box. Let me do this. Okay. 1 combo box. Okay. And 1 button. It's gonna be there. And I need 4 more buttons. Actually, I can just copy this one and then paste them. So I want this form to look like this. Let me try to add 1 button here. I'll do this. Okay, send it to the back. Okay, text, nothing. Trying to make it a bit big. Okay. Now I need 2 more buttons. This one is going to be like this. Let me try to reduce the size of this button. Okay, so this first one, text, I'll call it save. Sorry. The second one, cancel. The third one, update. The fourth one, delete. And the last one, I'll name it quit. Okay, I think it's fine like this. Let me try to run it. All right, this is how it's going to look like. I think it's fine. So for now, I have to go put some code here. Okay, before putting some code, I have to change the name of all the tools that I've created. This is a combo box. Let me change the name of this combo box. I'll call it CMB. CMB stands for combo box code. And this one is text box. Call it txt designation. txt designation, and this one will be txt unit price. Oh, sorry. Okay, and this one, the button, I'll name it btn save, then btn cancel, btn update, btn delete, btn delete, and btn quit. Okay, let me fix this searching button here. I'll call it btn search. Okay, what is the text? Okay, let me try to put some code here on the cancel button. I would say txt designation dot text equals nothing. sect1 will be txt unit price docs text equal, sorry, then the last one will be CMB, which stands for combo box, sorry. MB code dot text will be equals to okay. All right, I'm done for the cancel button. So for saving button, I have to actually, let's go to quit. It's gonna be this, sorry, this dot close. We try to run it, then I'm gonna click on close. I'll see if it's working. All right, it is working. Okay, let me go run it again. Let me put something here just to see if the cancel button is working. Click on cancel. All right, it's working. So now let me go on putting the code for the saving button, because remember we are making CRUD operations. C stands for create. So let me go put the code for this button here, save button, which also can be called as create button. So I double click on it. First of all, since I'll be dealing with a database, let me create a namespace that will help me manipulate data. So I'll come all the way around here. I'll go to using system dot data dot SQL client, sorry, semicolon. All right. And then I'm gonna have to put a connection string here. I have to put connection string here. Let's say SQL connection will be con, sorry, con, which will be equals to SQL connection. Then inside here I have to put connection string. Okay, now I'm going to connect to create my connection string, which will help me to connect. Uh, this is going to help me to make a connection uh, between Microsoft Visual Studio C# with SQL Server, because I'm going to use SQL Server as database management system. So what I'm going to do, since I already declare how I'm gonna call my connection string, I'll call it con, which stands for connection string. So inside this here, I'm going to put this code. I'll start with the sign 8, then I'll put double quotes, sorry, double quotes, actually inside double quote. All right, it's going to start with data source uh, data 6, it's fine, equals, I have to put dot and then semicolon. After that I'll say initial sorry, initial space catalog. All right, which will be equals to the name of the database. As for now, I did not create database yet, so I'm going to leave it blank, because I have to create database later, because the equals here has to match the name of the database. But I haven't created database yet, so I'm going to create. Let me carry on with this query here. So after semicolon, I have to put integrated space. Then after space, I must put security, and then security should be equals to true. So security, or am I doing a security will be equals to 2, semicolon here. Just quickly check something. All right. All right, so this connection string is not complete yet because I have to put the name of the database which I have to create between equal and semicolon here. But as for now, there is nothing. I will try to put a bit of space inside so you can see. So here, I have to put the name of the database that I must create first. Okay. So as I was saying, the connection string is not complete, but you can see that it's underlying this line here, right after equals, then SQL connection. Why? Because there's something that is missing. I made a mistake. I was supposed to actually say new. All right, see that underlying is gone. It's no longer underlying because now the line is complete. Not really complete, but it's correct because there's no any other mistake. But there's something that is missing, as I mentioned. It's the name of the database which I have to create first. All right. So okay, I'm done with declaring my connection string. Let me get back to the form. Then I'll double click on the save button. So this button is going to help me to save or to insert the informations will be from combo box text, these two text box and this one combo box. They will be inserted into the database by making use of this saving button. So let me double click on it. The first thing to do for the creation of the informations to be done, I have to make use of SQL. Sorry, I have to make use of connection string. In another words, I have to open my connection string. And remember, the connection string which I created, I name it as CON, which stands for creation connection string. All right. So to avoid repeating all this long line, I'm just gonna make use of this connection string which I created and then which I named CON or con, standing for connection string. So I'll start with it. I'll say CON dots open and then parenthesis, and then I close it with a semicolon. So the second line will help me to declare the SQL comment. So SQL comment, sorry. Oh, sorry, it's a mistake here. Actually, okay. SQL command. I'll name it as CMD, which stands for SQL command. So that will be equals to new uh equals to new. Sorry, no, not new. Equals to connection string, which I created already there. Dot create command. Create command. I open and close my parentheses. End it with a semicolon. Now I have to uh, make use of the command that I created. I'll call it command tab. Sorry, cmd.command tab. Or is it this one? Which will be equal to command tab dot text. Okay, semicolon. Okay, let me come down here. Then I have to create a query which will help me to save the database the uh, from the text box into my database. But for now, I cannot carry on with this query because first of all, I have to create a database which will help me to do the connection between the database and my Visual Studio C Sharp. Let me launch. By the way, I already launched my SQL server just to save time. So I'm gonna go to create a database. So if you're wondering about installing SQL server. I'm going to put the link below the description so that you can be able to click one of the videos that I've already published, or you can look at on the screen up above there on your right hand side. I'm also going to put a link that will take you to the video which I already created explaining how to install, how to download and to install a SQL Server Management Studio. All right. So for now, I'm gonna create a database. I'll come all the way to database. I right click on it. Then I go to new database. Just wait a bit. All right, after right clicking on new databases, it pops up this window here, which gives me the opportunity to create a new database. So in this field here, I have to specify the name of my database. Remember, I'm talking about CRUD operation. As I mentioned, CRUD stands for uh, read, update, and delete. So I would prefer also to name the database that I'm going to create as CRUD, for the sake of identity, so that I don't forget anything. Okay, this is how I'm going to call my database. I'll call it CRUD. So when it comes to location, remember right at the beginning of this video, I've already created a folder which I named DB. DB stands for database. All right, so I would like this database that I'm creating now to be saved into that folder which I already created right at the beginning of this video. So let me specify the location of that folder by coming here. I'm going to click on these three dots. It will open a window showing me the location. So it was inside disk C uh, under the folder named projects. If you spend it, then it gives me this other form here. No, not form, actually, a folder. This is the folder which I created, in which I'm going to um, save all the package that comes, all the packages that come with for my Visual Studio to work perfectly. And inside this folder, I created a folder which I named DB, which stands for database. All right, so this is the folder that I'm going to use. So I'm going to select it and click on OK. I'll do the same for the second file, the log file for database. I'm going to also to create this, to select this one. Let me make sure also the first one is using the same location. All right, definitely. So all of them, they're going to be saved into one folder. So I'll come to OK. After clicking on OK, this database is going to be created. But up to now, if I try to expand it, if I try to expand databases folder, it might not list the name of the database that I created, but you can see it listed. But in case you don't see the database that you just created, that means that you just need to refresh this database's name here. You come to refresh, and then obviously it will be listed. But as for my case, it was listed already. So we can see this is the database that I created already. But as for now, this database, if I expand it, it has nothing. There's no tables, there's nothing here. There's no any tables here created yet. That means that I need to create a table. And how do I uh, name the table that I'm about to create here? Well, let me get back to Visual Studio, because it is about items. Remember this form here we are dealing with, where we're going to do the CRUD operation. It is about saving the information regarding the items. I'm assuming that it's in a company or a shop, so on. It is about registering, it is about inserting or saving the items into the database. So the name of the table which I have to deal with for this project should be item. All right. So I'll come here, I'll click on tables, right click, I click on new table. As for now, it's not gonna give me the possibility of putting the name of the table yet, not yet, but it's gonna give me the opportunity or the possibilities um to to specify the columns of the columns names and the types of the columns uh, that I'm going to make use into my database. And by columns, I am referring to the informations that are on this form here. Remember, I need code, I need designation, and I also need unit price. So, which means basically I will need three different columns. The first one will be about code, the second one is going to give us information about the designation of that item, and the last column will be the one for unit price. All right, so basically I need three different columns. I, let me get back to my uh, SQL server. So I'll name it code. This is the first column. When it comes to data type, and car 10 means that I'm only able to use 10 different digits here, but I don't prefer this. I'd like to go for nval car 50, for instance. All right. And allow nulls means that is it possible for me now to save the informations, to save informations into the database, putting some informations regarding designation, unit price without putting a code. So if I select allow nulls, that will mean that it is possible for me to insert the information into this database uh, without putting the code into the database. But I don't need something like that to happen. You know, I don't really need something like that to happen. So instead of instead of this checkbox being checked, I would uncheck it. Let me uncheck it. Let me get back to the second column. Second column, let me open my Visual Studio just to avoid any mistake here. So second column should be named designation. All right, designation. So type, let me put envar car maximum. So I don't want that. I don't want it to allow nulls. Let me get back to the last column. The last column would be named unit price. So I'll go for unit price. But you can see here, for it to be clear, I must put space between unit and price. But since into a database, you cannot, when you are declaring the name of columns, this file cannot allow you to put space between the two names, between the two words. If you put a space, it's going to throw an exception or it's going to give an error message here. So the only way to emphasize what you are writing is to put an underscore between the two words so that you can be able to make use of Microsoft SQL Server. Otherwise, it's going actually it won't even allow you to do anything because it does not allow to put space between the two words. So if you want to emphasize, if you want it to be clear, instead of putting a space or a blank space between the two, which is totally impossible, you would rather put a hyphen just to make things clear. All right, so like this, it's fine. Unit price. When it comes to data type, I would want you to be integer because it has to deal with the it has to deal with money, number. So it must not be invoke or else I can also go for, okay, here it is, integer. All right, so I think it's fine for now. So if I go to if I try to save it, that one is going to give me the possibility of renaming the name of my table. Okay, this is what I was talking about. So by default, it says table underscore one, but I don't want it to be called like this. Remember, I said that I would like my table to be called item because it's going to be dealing with different items. So I would say items. Okay, then I come to okay. Let me close this one. I'm also going to close this, and then I'll select databases, right click, I come to refresh because I want it to be refreshed so that I can be able to see what I just realized now. So this is the list of the databases that are inside my Microsoft Visual Studio Management. The one that I'm referring to is CRUD because this is what we are working on. So I want to see if the creation of the table which I just made, it was successful. Right, so I have to expand this one and then come all the way to tables, expand it. All right, so this is the table that we just created. If I try to expand also this table here, I can see the columns which I just created. All right, so I've created 3 different columns. Remember, this is just what we we did now. I can also do this to see the columns which I created. After selecting the name of the table, right click, I go all the way to select top 1000 rows. It will list the way I've designed my table. Just a few seconds. There we go. So this is the way I designed my table. The first column, it's named code. The second one, designation. And thirdly, it's unit price. So up to now, my table has been created successfully. Since my table has been then created successfully, then I can make use of all the informations which are inside this table, declaring them into my Visual Studio so that the connection can be properly, and then I'll be able to start saving the informations into this database that I just created. So let me get back to Visual Studio. Remember, we were doing the saving operation or creating operation. So after making use of this line here, I have to create a query which will help me to insert the informations from this form into the database that I just created. All right. Let me launch one more time my Visual Studio. So I'm going to double click on the saving button or the button that helps us to create the informations. So the query that I'm referring to will start with the word cmd, which stands for command dot command text. Where it is, here it is. This will be equal to a query that I have to create, and that query has to be between uh, double quotes. All right, so the query will be insert into, let me put listing here, sorry. All right, so the query has to be, what am I going to set? Well, I'm going to set the informations which I will put later into the table. Which table? This table that we just created, items. Okay, so those informations, they have to be saved into the table name items. Okay, so which information should I insert or create or save into the table named items? Remember, the informations are about code, designation, and unit price. So in the way I wrote here on my database, this is going to be the same exact way that I have to also write on the coding part here so that it can make sense. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So the first thing that I need to save is the code, and secondly, it's a designation. And thirdly, it has to be unit price hyphen. What am I going to do? I'm also have to make use of the values. So for the values are the values which are on the form here, which I have to make use of them, and then that will help me to do the insertion, you know. So by value, I'm referring to these three different fields here: the code, the designation, the unit price. But those values have to be taken from the tools which are on the form that I have already created. First tool is code. Why? Because the first column here it's code also. They have to match so that there's no any other confusion. But as for this is a combo box. So this combo box, I named it as CMD. All right. So I have to make use of this combo box. And then the second tool will be this is a text box, will be txt designation. This is how I name it. And the third tool will be txt, which stands for text box. This text box deals with unit price. All right, so let me carry on by completing the query that I was just creating. So after declaring all, all, all the columns from the database side, I have to also declare the values from the Visual Studio side. So first value, I'll just say values. All right. This V has to be like this. Okay, value, and then so inside this value, I have to make use of the values that are on the form. So the first value, I have to put single quote after, and then double quotes, plus sign again, single quote, double quote, then semicolon. I mean, not semicolon, but comma. Why comma? I'm going to explain to you because it's not done yet. So between these two sign plus here, I have to make use of the values. First value is the combo box which I have created. So that combo box, I remember I named it CMB. Okay. No, actually CMD if I'm not mistaken. No, let me get back to form, then I'm going to see the way I just named this combo box here. CMB code. All right, this is how I name it. CMD code. CMD code. What's going on here? I can't even find it. Something is wrong. Let me get back. Where is it? Let me try to copy the way I just name it. Okay, copy it, and then I'm going to paste it here because it has to be like that. Okay, dot text. Okay, now it is picked up. Okay, so see, we are done with this first value that we just created. It's still underlined, so something is missing here. Actually, okay, I made a mistake. So it was supposed to be double quote, sorry, double quote, then single quotes. Okay, then fine. So I put a comma because I'm not done. This is the first value. It's a combo box. The second one is text box for designation. All right. So let me also make use of that text box. So after putting this comma, I have to say, sorry, single quotes or single quotes, double quotes, plus, and then double quotes, single quotes, comma again, single quotes, double quotes, plus double quotes, single quotes. All right. So inside here, I have to put the name of the second value, which is txt designation dot text, and on this one, it's txt unit price dot text. Okay, then here I have to end with a semicolon here. All right, seems like the query has been completed. Definitely the query is completed, it's not underlined, so there's no mistake. But you can see here the line is too long, so I can't completely see what I've done. That is very easy. I can sort out this thing easily. I can come after value and then I click on enter. You see it's going to put this sign plus this plus sign to specify that this line was supposed to be carry on, but since for the aesthetic reason, I went to the second line at the bottom. That is why it shows this plus sign here to say that it still continues, it's not end yet. All right, so this query here it's done, but it's not completely done because I have to carry on. So after declaring the query, I must make use of the command box, the cmd command, the command that I created is going to be cmd dot execute non-query. So it's going to be cmd dot execute non-query and then semicolon here. So remember, because we started by opening the connection string, once we manage to insert all the information into the database, to avoid any other mistake or any other error, we also have to close the connection that we just created. So it's going to be con, which stands for uh, connection string. Then I have to close it, semicolon. So after we're done inserting all the informations into the database, I would like this zone here to be clear so that it can get me access to any other informations without problem. So after you're done inserting or creating the data to the database, let me now clear the zone. So the first zone, it was cmd, which stands for combo box code dot text. It will be equals to uh, nothing, and then text designation dot text will be equals to nothing, and lastly text unit price dot text will be equal also to nothing, semicolon here. All right, that's fine. I think for now it's okay. Let me try to do some. Actually, for now, if I try to save or to insert the informations into the database, it's just going to throw an exception. Okay, let me try to save. We'll see what's going to happen, because I know there's something that is missing here. It's going to throw an exception, but let me go for it. Let me run the project quickly, and then I'll try to save something into the database and see if you're going to be able to do that. As I said, can you see, guys? I wasn't even able to see uh, the actually I was not even able to run my software completely because something is wrong here on the connection string line. What is going on here? Well, the exception that has been thrown says keyword not supported, integrated security. That means that there's something's wrong here on this wording here, the way I call this name integrated. So I made a mistake. Instead of it was supposed to be a. Okay, let me run again one more time. All right, it is launched, but still I'll try to save something into the database, but I know it's not gonna work because there's something that is missing here. But let me proceed anyway. Save it, throw an exception, and the exception says this: system.data.sql client.sql exception says that invalid object name items. Why? Because On my query here, I made use of the word items. These items stand for the table name which I created, but I cannot proceed on saving the information into this table name because on my connection string, I did not specify the name of database I'm working with. You see, that is the reason why that exception has been thrown. So let me go on putting the name of the database on this line here, and then we'll try to save again the same informations which we have created. That time around, I think it's going to work. So the name of my database is CRUD. Okay, let me get back to Visual Studio. Name of my database is CRUD. So the name of my database is there. I'm going to run, let me safeguard all the information. I'm going to run my application for the second time. So here for code, I will say, for instance, 002, and then designation. Actually, it was not supposed to be like this. Let's say str. Let's stand for sterigel. Image price, for instance, 20 rand. Let me try to click on save. We see now it did not throw that exception because we managed to respect the way it was supposed to be done. So we put the name of the database that we have created, and we also put the name of the the table which we created inside that database. So you see that the informations that were here after clicking on save or after clicking on creating a button have disappeared. So that means basically that they've created and they should be now found into the database that we just created. Let me get back to the database. Let me close this here. Okay, so I'm going to refresh my database because basically I suppose I managed to create some data into this database here. So I'm going to check if really these informations are inside. I click on select top 1000 rows. There we go. So we just created our first data into our database. So we can see that the CRUD uh, operation, the first C, which stands for create, has been successful because we managed to create one informations or these informations here into our database. And the second thing that we need to do for our CRUD information should be to read. Let me launch my the project that I created, explaining what we are about to do here. So we can see so far that we managed to create information into our database. The second thing to do is to read those informations. That means that we can, by reading informations, I'm referring to consulting or searching the informations that are inside the database, and if it's possible, retrieve them and display them on the screen. Okay, for instance, for now we can see that we managed to create the informations, we managed to create some data into our database, but they are inside the database. We can't see them on the form here. We cannot see them on this form here. So by making use of reading, which is part of CRUD, that should mean that we're going to consult or we're going to retrieve the informations that you just created from the database and displaying them back here on the form. Okay, by that I'm saying that now I have to put some code on the searching button based on a keyword. By clicking on search, it is going to retrieve the informations that we have already saved into the database, and they will be displayed on these two different zones here, which stand for designation and unit price. So if only we are able to do that, then we would have been able to make use of R, which stand for read. So we would have been able to read the information that we created. Okay, let me go for it. So I'm going to get back to the form which I created, and then this time around here I'll make use of searching button, which is reading. So by double click on searching, I have to put some code which will help me to do the reading, or to uh, read the informations that are already created here. All right. So I have to put some code here. The first one should be obviously opening connection string, which will be con dot open, and then sorry, parentheses. I close my parentheses. I come down here. The second line I would say SQL command, which will be called cmd. That will be equals to connection string create command. Sorry. Then I come down. I have to make use of the command which I created dot command tab. Command type that will be equal to command type dot txt, I mean dot text, and then I come down. I have to now make use of SQL adapter. SQL adapter, SQL data adapter will be, I'm going to name it as a DA, which stands for data adapter. Okay, data adapter will be equal to new SQL data adapter, and then now I have to put a query which will help me to retrieve the informations from the database and then to display them on the 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 Visual Studio on the form that we just created. So that query will be inside this double quote here. Obviously, I have to end with a semicolon here. So it's underlined here because it does not see any query. Let me make now use of the query. Query will be select from the name of the table. The name of the table is item. Okay, select from item, and then other keyword will be where code. Why code? Because code is the keyword that will help us to retrieve the information. So the information that will be retrieving from the database will be attached to the code which will identify that item from the database. Then we can make use of that icon. Okay, so the keyword here is code. Code will be equal to single quotes, double quotes. Now I have to specify, because this code here, actually I did not write it in a correct way, because correct way should be all the letters here should be capital. It should not be, I should not have any other small letter here. So this is how this is the name I named this word code here. So they have to be capital letters, all of them. Okay, so this is on the database side code. And then on the Visual Studio side, I have to make use of the combo box which I created. Remember, there was a combo box which I created that I named CMD code. That is the name of the combo box that I created. Okay, so since it's a query here, I have to put double plus, and then double quotes, single quotes. Okay, semicolon, I mean comma in the meantime. Come here, CMD combo box code dot, sorry, dot text. All right, I think it's fine here. Seems like it's fine. All right, then something here. I have to now declare the connection string which I created. Colon. Anything missing here? Because it's still underlying. See. All right, so there's an extra double quote which I added unnecessary. This is the thing that is causing the error. All right, so it's gone. But now let me complete my query. I should put a a, a star sign here. I put a star. A star means that I need to select every informations that is every information that is inside the table named items, right? Based on a code inside the the code that is inside the database, and that code is going to be read from the combo box on the form here. All right, so I think this line for query it's fine. Let me now uh, carry on with the query because it's not finished yet. Then after finishing this query, I have to make use of the data table. All right, so I'll say data table. What am I doing here? All right, okay, we fix it. Data table. How am I going to call my data table? My data table, I'll just call it DT. This is how I'm going to declare my data table will be equal to new data table. Sorry. Then I come down here. Then I have to fill my data. I have now to make use of, I have to connect my data table by making, I have to fill my data table, sorry. I have to fill my data table by making use of data adapter, all right? So it's going to be DA dot fill I close here. Then inside I have to declare the data table that I just created. Call it DT, which stands for data table. All right, it's fine. Then now I have to uh, pull the informations that are inside the database, which I need to display on my form. So which informations I need to pull from the data from my database and then display them to my table are two different informations about designation and unit price. All right, so I would say uh, on the designation, I'll say text designation dot text will be equal to data table which I already declare dot rows. The rows are from the database, and which row, let me go back there, it's this one. This is the first row on my table. All right, okay, so this is the first row, but it is the first row, but on the database side it's going to be considered as 0. So the first one is not really it is actually the first one, but it is represented by 0. So I'll say row in the brackets, inside the bracket I'll say 0. Okay, this is our database, it is read, and then add a bracket. Let me get back now to see the column. Which column is this column here? See this column, so it's column 1. All right, inside column 1 dots to string, then sorry, semicolon. It's fine. Let me now go for the second data which I need to be displayed on the screen. So the second one will be txt unit price dot text, which will be equal to data table dot rows, and then sorry, this is, I should name it. Okay, then I have to, sorry, oh man, to open the brackets. So brackets, remember, is still in the same position because it's this one. All right, this is the first row, but it is 0 because this is how it is with the database. I'll make another course another video explaining why it has to be 0. So it is 0 here, and then inside here, let's now check. Okay, because it is designation is not the first column anymore, it's not the second column. All right, so because it is about actually, what am I doing here? Designation. All right, 2, second column. So I'd say second column here, dot to string, then I have to do this semicolon. Okay, because we have opened our connection, we have to close it. So it's gonna be connection string dot close. Sorry. All right, I think I'm done with this query. Let me go check. I'm going to quickly run my software, and then I'll put the first code, I mean the code that I just created, and then click on search if I'll be able to see those informations into my form. So it is here. Which code is that? str. Okay. Let me close this. Say str. If I click on search, there we go. So we can see we managed to retrieve the informations from the database, and then we display them. Let me try to clear. It's str. If I click on search, we can see that we retrieve the informations from the table, from the database that we created, and then these informations are displayed onto the screen. So up to now, we've managed to, let me try to show here, we managed to create, and now secondly, we also managed to read. All right, by reading, I'm talking about consulting or doing some research. As we can see, we also were able to consult. We did some research here. You know, this is the research. You click on search, it works. So far we've done 2 operations. We've done create, read. Now we are left with 2 different operations, which are updates or modify and delete. Delete, it's simply deleting information from the database. All right, so let's go for putting code that which deals with updating here. Okay, I'm going to close this. Let me stop software. I'm going to get back to the form. Then I click, I select updates and double click on it. It is blank for now because it's about dealing with database. I have to open my connection string. So connection string is con dot open semicolon here. Then I'll make use of a SQL command. SQL command which will be called cmd. That will be equals to connection string dot create command. Create command, then all right, semicolon. The third line I have to make now use of the command that I created is going to be cmd dot command type, which will be equal to command tab dot text, then semicolon. Come down. I have to now make use of a query. So I have to create a query which will help me to do the updating. All right, so that query will be cmd, which stands for command dot command text. It's going to be equals to, let me put the query. That query should be inside this the double quotes. It's going to be updates. Update. What am I going to update? I have to update the table named items. So I'm going to update this table name items. and then keyword is going to be set. So the one that is going to help me to update the information into the database is the keyword code. Remember, even for the case of researching the information from the database, we made use of code that we just created here, this code. So it's going to also be based on a certain code that you're going to uh, type on the combo box, and that code will help us to bind the informations that are inside the database to that code, and then you're going to be able to modify or to update those informations. All right, so it's going to be code, and this is on the database side, but on the Visual Studio part, I have to also specify the way I need that tool to be called. So here is going to be I'll say, okay, like usually, so it's going to be cmd code. Here it is, dot text. Okay, cmd code dot text. I think it's fine. Let me try to check if it is correctly spelled. Yeah, it seems like it's fine. Then here I have to put a column, one quote here. I think that should be semicolon here. Got something more here. All right, definitely that mistake is gone. All right, so it is fine. And then because I opened the connection string, I have to close it. Actually, what should I update here? I have to update the informations which are text designation dot text. Sorry guys, I just realized that I made a bit of confusion here. Sorry for that. So first of all, the information that I was supposed to put inside here, sets, it should not be the code as keyword. It should be the informations I want to be modified, or the informations I want to be updated. All right. So first of all, it should not be a code. The first one should be uh, designation. All right. Sorry for that, guys. Designation. Even a code also, actually I should also set it as it is. I can also modify a code anyway. Let me leave. So code is fine. Okay, and then after code I have to do this semicolon here, actually column. Okay, so all right, so inside here, all right, not only code, but I can also adjust or modify or update designation. I already designation. Okay, this is how I wrote it, which will be equals to, all right, then txt designation. I think it's fine here. And then after that, what else do I need to fix? I also need to fix unit price. Okay, unit price will be equals to single quote, sorry, single quotes, double quote, plus double quote, single quotes. Okay, so inside I have to say txt unit price dot text. Oh, sorry, this one was not even complete. Should be dot text also. All right, then where code equals to single quotes, double quotes, double quotes, single quotes. Okay, now I have to specify, okay, plus plus. It has to be now not txt, cmb code dot text. All right, it's still underlying, something wrong here. Let me quickly check. All right, I can see that double quote here. All right, so it seems like it's fine, but this line is too long. Let me try to make it short. Come here. All right, so guys, let me try to explain to you this query out UX. So we are updating the informations into the table name items. What are we going to update, or what are we going to modify, or to adjust? We're going to update the code. We're also going to update designation. We're also going to update or to modify unit price. And the keyword which will help us to do those things is code. All right, so based on a certain code, that's when we're going to be able to adjust or to update the information into our database. So after you've done with this, because we've opened our connection string, we have to close it. But before closing connection string, we have to make use of execute non-query. All right, so it's going to be command dot execute non-query, and then we obviously have to close our connection string which we opened. All right, I think it should be fine. Let me try to, after we done the updating, we have to clear the zone. Yeah, right. After we finish with the updating, we have to clear the zone so that nothing is left there. Okay, so it's going to be cmb combo box code dot text will be equal to nothing. All right, and then txt designation dot text will be equal to nothing. Lastly, txt unit price dot text will be also equal to nothing. Yeah, I think this is fine. So after we manage to update, we have to clear the zone. All right, let me go to execute now. I'm going to run my application here. So str, sorry, str, this is the first item that we just created. I search it, it's fine. Let's try to call it, instead of stereo gel costing 20 rand, let's say it's 200 rand. All right, I click on updates. It throws an exception here, incorrect syntax near the keyword y. So there's a mistake here, there's an error because an exception has been thrown. Let me try to go through it. Okay, I'm going to stop running the software to see where the error is coming from. So error is here. card. Okay, I think let me try to do this. Let me try to remove this, and then you'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm going to execute one more time. Um, str, all right, 200, update, still same mistake, so which means we have to fix something here. Okay, let me try to go through it and then I'll see what's going on. Okay, so guys, after going through this code here, I just realized that I made a mistake. There's something that I added unnecessary. This comma here, not comma, yeah, this comma here, it was not supposed to be there. All right, so let me take back the things that I remove. This code should be fine here, but instead of putting this comma here, I just have to remove it. That's where the mistake is coming from. So let me run my application. Str, I search it. Let's say it is 200. I click on update. Yes, we can see it disappear. So now I need to check if the price of this stereo chair has changed from 200, I mean from 20 rand to 200 rand. All right. Str, you can see guys, it's no longer 20 rand as it was, it become 200 rand. Let's say that we need these articles to cost, instead of 200, to cost 250. All right, 250 rand. If I click on update, okay, let me search again the same articles, str, which stands for stereo chair. All right, now it's no longer 250, it's no longer 200 rand, it's not 250. So let's say instead of calling it stereo chair, we want it to be named sterigella. All right, I click on updates. Okay, let me go to str. If I click on search, you see it's no longer called or named sterigel, it's now named sterigella. So let's get back to our database to see if, remember, before it was called sterigel and it was costing 200 rand. Now that we do the updating, let's try to check the informations regarding this. You can see it's changed now. So it's not going to double the informations. Why? Because of the keyword that we made use of, this keyword code, you know. So it's not gonna multiply the same informations, because the keyword now is still the same, str, which stand for code. So guys, up to now, for the CRUD operation, we managed to create, all right, we managed to read. Now we also managed to do the updating or the adjusting or modifying the informations. Let's now go to the last operation, D, which stands for deleting. All right. So I'm going to put the code for deleting the informations that we just created into our database. Okay, let me launch. Actually, I'm going to stop this software because it is still running. Okay, let me save all the informations, all the modification that I've done. So I'll get back to my form and then double click on delete button here. For now, it's empty. That means that I have to make some code. So I'm gonna open my connection string here, dot open, and then I'll do this. I have to make use of SQL command. Sorry, SQL command is going to be named cmd, will be equal to connection. Sorry, connection string dot commands. Okay, I'll do this. Sorry. All right, and then cmd dot command type will be equal to cmd command tab dot text, then semicolon. I come down here and let me make use of cmd use of a query. Now I have to create a query which will help us to delete the informations from the database. It's going to be cmd dot dot command text, which will be equal to the query. I have to put a query here. All right, so that query will be about delete from the table. It has to be inside this bracket. So the table, which table is this table item here? Okay, just paste it there to make things very easy. So which will help, and now I have to make use of the keyword which will help us to through that keyword we're going to be able to delete the informations from the database using that keyword. So the keyword here is going to be where code. So it's going to be based on a code that is where we're going to be able to delete the information from the database. Okay, yeah, all right, then double quote. So inside here I'm going to put the combo box. Why? Because the information which we have to read and then be able to to delete the data from the database, it has to be based on the information that is found on the combo box from my form. All right, so all right, I think now it's fine. Then let me just try to say something here if it is okay. Okay, it seems like it's fine. Then just semicolon here should be fine for now. All right, okay, and then we have to make use of non-query. cmd dot execute non-query. Open here and then I close semicolon. Then I have to close the connection string which I open dot close semicolon here. I think it should be fine now, but after we manage to delete, we have to also to clear the zone. So let me just make it like this, so it's going to be simple instead of typing because they are already there. All right, I think that should be fine. Let me run it. Because we only have one single data into the database, let me create the second one. All right, so let me create the second item. Then we'll be able to see which one is deleted and which one it is left, right? So this one, how can I call it? Let me, okay, AC44. Actually, I should have named it CPT. Okay, CPT, which stands for carpets. All right, how much per unit? Let's say 40 rand. Then I come to save. It's going to be save. Let me go to create a third item. I'll say C, which stands for couch. Okay, couches. Much per item. Let's say 300. Okay, save it. But now let me go to the database and then refresh my database. I'm going to see how many record I have into my database. So far I have 3 records. You can see here we have sterigella, we have carpet, and then we have couches. All right, so I'm going to try to delete couches as item from the database. Actually, all right, first of all I have to display it. See, I click on search. Okay, the reading operation is working. Now let's try to delete it. All right, then I'm gonna go to C again. I know it's no longer there. It throws it throws an exception because that information is not existing anymore from the database. All right, so that's why it throws that exception. Let me come here and then try to check if that item just disappear. I'm going to refresh and I come to select top 1000 rows. We can see C, which was standing for couches is no longer here. It's deleted. Okay, so which means the full operation that we're talking about, CRUD operation, create, read, update, and delete, are fully working. So we've managed to create the informations from our form or from Visual Studio, and then we save them, or we have inserted them into the database. We also managed to read the informations that was from the database, and also were able to display those informations on our form. And we also did some updating or modifying the informations that we created. And lastly, we also managed to delete those informations. So guys, this is what this video was all about: creating, reading, updating, deleting informations from the database. Thanks a lot guys for watching this video. Please, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this video, if you really find it interesting. And I also please ask you to turn your notification bell on, so that next time when I drop a video, you're going to be alerted. Maybe that video might be the one you are looking for. And please don't forget to give me thumb up for the videos that I'm publishing, because that's the best way uh, to tell YouTube to recommend my video if those videos have been liked by so many people. Please, one more time, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I still have a lot to publish. You don't want to miss it. Thank you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.